Making a study plan for the PEAT. So, hello, everybody. Hope you all are having a great start to your day. Not start to your day. Gosh, it's the end of the day. That's where we're at right now. That's where my brain is. So, we got people on Instagram, we got TikTok, we got everything going on. So, let's get rocking and rolling. So, big thing, everybody, is I want you guys to get something set up that's in the way of like, um, something like this. So where you have a study plan set up just like that. So something along these lines. This is a notability. So big thing for you guys to do is this is for a PEAT exam. So make sure you get something set up like this so you guys can use that to start studying for your PEAT. And so we can get that all set up here. And I'm going to do just one or two things. I'm going to periodically be checking messages in certain places. But we're going to get that set up. Perfect. Okay. TikTok is kind of set up, sort of. I'll periodically be checking messages there. And so we are going to get rock and roll. So get something set up that's like, blank sheet of paper that you have something like this on there so we can get started and we'll get going. So big thing I want you all to know is about a lot of questions about what it is the PEAT exam. So big thing I want to talk about is the PEAT exam, essentially. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Big thing that, guys, the PEAT exam is going to be a lot different than the NPTE. So I'm speaking off my PTA experience. So the PEAT exam is going to be different than the NPTE. So how is it different? It is going to be a practice one. There's two PEATs. You have the retired PEAT, which is an old exam. It used to be an exam, and now it's not. And then you also have the practice PEAT, which is a bunch of really good questions that the boards has put out. And so it's the people who actually write the actual exam. They write the actual FSBBT. So you have all these people who are writing these tests, and they're going to be questions that are in a similar cadence and explanation as the real thing. So it is similar in the sense of like, have you guys ever experienced, and you guys can comment on things as I'm like saying this, have you guys ever experienced it where you are taking a test and like you only want to answer the test based off of what your professor said? So that's going to be a big thing. So again, TikTok people, we are here on Instagram, TikTok, everything. We are doing things. So sorry, TikTok people, you are hiding in the corner for now. We will put you in the corner there, but we have not forgotten about you. So big thing, guys, though, the difference between the PEAT and the NPTE is that the PEAT exam is going to just be a little bit, it's going to be different. It's going to feel similar when you're in the test. Like you're going to be like, I feel the same in like the sense of like, okay, like the layout of the questions is similar. But the big thing about your PEAT exam is that a lot of schools are going to use this as an exit exam. So you're either watching this because you're preparing to take a PEAT for the first time. That's going to be the first test you take and you see how that goes. Or you are going to having to prepare for like an exit exam. So that's pretty much the two people that are here. So if you're like trying to prepare for the PEAT for the first time, because you're trying to make sure you understand it, or like let's say your school has you take it just to make sure you like kind of have a good footing and whatnot, this is for you. So people have been requesting me to do this for like ever. So sorry I'm taking forever to get to the point. Just want to make sure we're good. So the big thing about the PEAT is that you should take this as seriously as the NPTE. When you are creating a study plan, you need to take this as seriously. That being said, you guys are probably in clinicals as you're studying for your PEAT exam. So you also might be in class as you're studying for your PEAT exam if it's an exit exam. So I'm going to talk about it as if it's an exit exam. A lot of schools have different criteria for people to get to be able to pass. So some schools might require 600 to pass. Some schools require above a 600 to pass. I think most schools require like a 575 or something like that. So what am I talking about when I say this? Let's kind of talk about it. So let me share my most recent PEAT exam, like, results so you guys know what I'm talking about. So when you do take the PEAT, you will get results instantly. This is what it'll look like when you guys are, um, taking your PEAT and you wanna see what it actually looks like. Let me pull this up for y'all. If it decides to appear for me, it's in here somewhere. PEAT. Alrighty, where'd it go? So it's gonna be named a PEAT Performance Feedback Report. That's gonna be the name of it. Performance How does one spell performance? It's not showing up for me. So we're gonna go find that. We're gonna go find this, friends, because it is somewhere in here. That's why this is a live stream, because I'll just cut it later. But anyways, how's everybody else doing today? I'm really struggling with this. I've never used this software before, like, I'm so used to, like, doing things, like, beforehand. So, it's all good, friends. Y'all get to watch me be like, I swear, I literally had this, like, 5 minutes ago. I'm like, "Oh, where is my feedback report?" Here it is. Here it is. Alrighty, friends, I found it. It was hidden in the depth of the Instagram. So, for those of you on TikTok, I think you can kind of see this. Let me zoom on in, and then for everybody else on these regular platforms, let's kind of talk about it. Yes, brain overload at clinicals, but glad to be doing what I'm doing. You are killing it, girlfriend. Clinicals are ooh, clinicals are crazy. So let's kind of talk about this. Let's make this because I want everyone to see what I'm talking about. Alrighty, let's make it really big. So, not to brag or anything, but my last beat I did pretty well on. So the big thing is when you get your peak performance feedback report, you're gonna get this. Now, again, you can go into the actual exam if you still have access to it and review it. But some of you might be like, wanting to know when you take your peak, what does this look like? So we're gonna talk about this first, and then you should see what you're going towards. The important thing is this first week of studying, so if we're looking at this first week here, if we're talking about week 1, it's getting familiar with what is the PEAT exam, what's on this board exam, let's talk about it. So, you can go more into depth inside the Score Builders book if you want to, but we're gonna talk about what's on the PEAT exam. Now, again, this is gonna be for PTAs. If you're a PTA, I guess I can't stop you, but the difference between that is there's gonna be different categories, and you'll have more questions. It's a whole separate thing. However, the 2 things that will overlap are gonna be that interventions and non-system. So I can explain that to you guys if you're watching this. You're gonna have something called examination evaluation, and then diseases, and prognosis and diagnosis and differential diagnosis. I don't know what those questions look like yet, but I can imagine you probably wanna study how to perform evaluations and what these signs to look for. For our PTA friends, that's why we're here. We have physical therapy selection. So you guys know um on my videos on YouTube, I'm always talking about what are the keywords here, okay? So what are, the keywords that we have to look for to make sure that we are understanding what's going on. I can see that it might be a little bit blurry on YouTube, so I apologize. But this is our keywords. We're identifying what's going on. So, for example, it would be a question that says a patient has and is trying to see, like, do you understand that they are having a hyperglycemic episode? The patient has fruity breath, their skin is looking really dry, their lips are looking red, and they're starting to get really sluggish and feel, like, nauseous. So, you're supposed to identify, okay, this patient might be having, like, a hyperglycemic episode. We should probably have the patient administer insulin. We are collecting data on that. Like, what is going on? What would we expect their blood sugar to be? That's our data collection, seeing what's going on with the patient, collecting data. Yay. Our diseases and conditions that impact treatment. This is knowing how does that condition you just found data about impact what you're gonna do. So let's say that the patient, for example, I'm checking TikTok to make sure y'all are good to go. Doing well over here. Hello, friends. I see Morgan's on here. Hello, Morgan. Hopefully you're doing well. Big thing about the diseases and conditions that impact treatment is this is going to be, let's say a patient has heart failure and they're like stage 3, okay? Is yeah, we're stage 3 if we're talking about that. So that's different than the ACE classification. So we're talking about they have, they're in stage 3 heart failure. So what's happening with the patient is that you're seeing that, they can't, exercise above, like, 3 mets or even, like, really not that high. They're doing very, 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 very light work. house is going to be, exacerbating for them and cause some symptoms. So knowing that, what's an appropriate, what are we going to have to watch out for treatment? Maybe the patient's also on, a beta blocker or they're on a diuretic. They could become hypertensive as they stand up. So knowing how these diseases impact treatment is going to be important. For example, MS, you don't want to have them ambulate in a heated pool. You want to make sure that they're, resting as they do their activities so they don't overload themselves. That's what this is. Interventions is what is the most appropriate or the least appropriate thing going on? That's usually the 2 ways that they asked it, or they're like, what is the, best thing for this patient? So essentially with interventions, you're looking for the safest, most appropriate, most relevant answer for the patient. So that's the big thing about interventions. Non-systems, everything from our, research to professional behaviors to our modalities and equipment, devices, and technologies. So that's pretty straightforward with that. So again, that's what our big, content areas are. So understanding what those are as you go into studying for the week. Again, that first week is going to be studying those, content areas, like understanding the PEAT. So let's say that you either want to take a test right first thing on that Sunday or at the end of that week. So let's schedule our first practice exam. Let's say we'll take it at the end of the week on a Saturday because everything's shot. So, like, maybe one day of your clinicals is, like, overwhelming. So, for example, let's say your, like, Wednesday is, like, 7 to 7 or something, or your Monday is 7 to 7. Make sure you guys always schedule days where you're not doing stuff and you can actually, like, relax for the day. So if you work, like, a crazy long day, have that be your rest day. Okay, I'm just gonna pick Monday. I feel like Mondays are always wild in the clinic, like, that's when I'm always called in, so I'm gonna just say Monday is the day where it's crazy. So, like, the first day you're getting used to stuff, so you're gonna learn about the exam. That might be today. Maybe today is your day where you're gonna learn about the exam. Understand, what is this exam talk about? What is going on with this test? What do I need to be worried about with this test? Like, what are all the things that we need to be taking into account as we're studying for this test? So, for example, understanding that the PTA exam is 180 questions for the PEAT. It's the same as the real thing. So it'll be 180 questions. 40 of those questions do not count. Do you know which questions don't count? No, you don't. You don't know which questions don't count. Sometimes questions will count, sometimes they won't. It just is what it is. So, with that being said, you have to anticipate that every question is gonna be one that counts. So, looking across this and the total items that are correct, the percent you had correct, your scaled score. So, this is the score. If somebody asks you what you scored on your P, that is the score right here. You find total, you find scaled score. I got an 800. Notice I didn't get 100% on it, and I still got an 800. After about 90%, they give up. So, you guys don't need to get a perfect you always don't have to shoot for an A. It's fine. If you get like a B plus, you probably get a perfect score anyways. It's fine. So this on track to pass score is going to be different for each exam that you encounter. This one happened to be 69%. How funny. But anyways, it's going to be this on track to pass score is going to basically tell you what's going on with each section. So if you're below one section, it'll tell you you need to pick up the pace. If you were above it, it's going to say that you're good. So, for example, I needed 21 to pass this non-system section. I got 23. So that's why that was my lowest section at a 690. Definitely cared a lot about that ultrasound there. So understanding what all of this means, what are you studying is going to be super important. So I think a lot of people get confused with what this means. If you struggle with physical therapy data collection, you're missing words. You're mixing up keywords. You struggle with diseases and conditions that impact effective treatment, you need to look over your pathologies. If you struggle with interventions, you need to read the question a little bit more closely and understand what are precautions and contraindications to exercises. And then know like which condition will classify in which thing. So like for example, if somebody has, um, torn ACFL in their ankle, they're gonna want the patient to not do range of motion, like stretching exercises already stretched out. They're gonna want to do stability and strengthening for them, obviously maintaining available range of motion. But that's kind of what those interventions mean. And then non-systems gonna be all of those that I kind of talked about earlier. So if you struggle with that, that's just you gotta review it. So that's pretty much what these mean. Don't read any of this stuff. It'll just make you feel bad. I think everyone's pretty familiar with this whole section here of like what is your different sections looking for. So I want to make sure that everything is good. First, we're getting ready to get it over with. Yes. For everyone taking the exam and they're just like watching this because they're like, I'm just gonna watch this because I don't know what else to do and I'm gonna count this as studying. That's fine. You're already here. You either know it or you don't at this point. Just hang out for the ride. So pretty much when we have these systems here, we're familiar with what all these are. So again, looking at your on track to pass versus your actual score here. I realize this doesn't help because I got numbers. But cardiopulmonary, we kind of know what that is. It's going to be all of our cardiopulmonary system, musculoskeletal system, neuromuscular and nervous system, and all those pathologies. So integumentary, lymphatic, and other systems. That's the ones that kind of need a little bit of a definition here. So integumentary, as we know, that's our skin. So that includes everything from burns to pressure ulcers to different types of wound healing and to identifying different types of wounds. That's all included in integumentary system. And then lymphatic will be our lymph system. So again, knowing like how to do interventions for the lymphatic system, understanding how to wrap a patient properly. That's sometimes asked on the at least from what I've experienced in my studying and practice exam. I'll also talk about the staging of lymphedema, how to measure lymphedema with the volumetric measurements. How bad is a mild, medium, hot, I almost said that, but mild, moderate, or severe lymphedema. We're gonna ask you those. So again, knowing the pathophysiology of lymphedema, how to do lymphatic drainage, those are all things that are all included in that. Now, the other system section, that's our jam here. So our other system section is going to include everything from our endocrine to our metabolic to our geriatrics, bariatrics, obstetrics, gynecology, genitourinary, gastrointestinal, basically anything that's not the big three or skin and lymph system. So that's what's going to be included there. So that's a big thing that you guys are going to want to understand with that part. Again, if you're watching this on Facebook, I'm sorry I can't see the Facebook comments. I apologize, but I see everybody on Instagram and YouTube. Great. TikTok. Hello, TikTok people. I don't forget about you. You're kind of sitting in the corner, but that's okay. So knowing that, now you know what that is. Now, this last part is super important to understand. This is your sections. A lot of people forget about the sections here. You want to see what's going on. Are you getting worse as you go along? Like, is your thing going down this way? These are box and whisker spots. Are your sections getting worse as you go along? That means you're getting fatigued. You absolutely shit the bag in section 1 and then do better as you go along. That might indicate you're really nervous at the beginning of your test and you can't handle it. So, and then you get into the groove of things. So knowing that, this whole section here was going to really help you identify, is it a test taking fatigue or anxiety situation? Sometimes people, once they come out of section 2 after their break, they kind of drop down because they psych themselves out. So this is a good section here to really figure out, was it a psychological problem of what's going on versus anything else. So knowing that, let's kind of get into our actual study plan here. So you guys finding this helpful so far? Just breaking down like what even is the PEAT? What are we doing here? And when you go into your test, you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to see, oh my gosh, you'll be able to see what questions you got right and which ones you got wrong. So let's kind of talk about how to actually create this study plan as is. So looking at everybody who's here live, hello friends. I hope that you guys are all having a lovely day today. Big thing is to find that day that you learn best. So let's say you're in this clinical, and so I have this here, like this is month 1 of you starting to study. So let's say that you're learning one day, let's say you take a rest break one day, and then you're going to start with one of your sections. So what I always tell people to do, figure out what's your worst section and just start there. So let's say that you are struggling with musculoskeletal, and some people are like, how much should you study per day? I say for the PEAT, you don't have to study as much for the PEAT as the real thing. I would say just starting to get used to it. 30 minutes to an hour is honestly good to start getting prepared for things. So we're just going to say 1 hour, and we're going to say MSK. And we're just going to start going through the book. So like, let's say you have the Score Builders book, going to start going through it, maybe listening to a podcast or something that makes sense, that you kind of understand. Maybe, if you had a professor that explained things really well to look at that. I will caution you guys, school prepares you very, very, very well for your clinical. School will make sure you understand how to treat people clinically in the clinic. However, the only problem is sometimes your school notes will conflict with what the boards say. And I'm not saying your professors are wrong or that they taught you incorrect information. or if you do that in the clinic, it's wrong. Just the boards doesn't really like that. For example, like, just something really simple, like, for maybe your professor used a textbook that said that the essential creatine system is going to last for, up to 15 seconds, but then the boards over here saying it only lasts for 10 seconds. So you see what I mean? Like, just like a little detail like that. What do we need to know? Do something really fast for a short amount of time, we're training the phosphorescent system. That's what I just think to myself. Do I remember which one's which? I don't know, but the boards might be slightly different. So I would say for your bulk of your studying, like one of the either the, what's it called? The Scribbler's textbook or the, therapy ed books. Those are gonna be both really good for that. So let's say we're gonna spend an hour studying musculoskeletal. We'll do that every day, and then we get to our practice exam, and so personally, if you're able to, get your hands on another PEAT and take the practice. Sorry, that looks really ugly, but take the practice PEAT if you're able to. Honestly, any practice exam works just fine. Any practice exam works just fine. So if you need to take scribblers, that's fine. If you wanna take therapy ed, that's also fine. Like, honestly, any of them are gonna work just fine. You're gonna take that first P and they're gonna see where were your weak areas actually. If you're able to take it earlier in the week, do that. If not, just, like, pick a random subject that you're weak with and start going through the book that way. So, big thing then to start doing from that is you're going to review that first exam for at least 3 days. You're gonna dive really far into it. You're gonna review every single question on that exam. Honestly, you could go for 4 days. Probably if it were me, I would review for, like, 4 days straight, doing about 50 questions a day, really getting through it, or I'd sprinkle it in through the whole week as much as I can. 'Cause I feel like if I'm only able to study an hour a day, I'm not gonna get in the time that I want. So say I do 2 hours a day. Maybe I need to spend a little bit more than 3, let's say I spend the whole week and then I do 1, 1, 1, 1, and I really get through that exam pretty well. So I'm gonna spend all that time reviewing, and so let's say that, musculoskeletal was still my weakest spot. We're gonna study MSK a little bit longer. So we're gonna study that for about, mm, another week or so. So we're gonna study that. And then once we get to the MSK, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some mini quizzes, some sort of active recall that we can do on musculoskeletal. So you can either, find musculoskeletal mini quizzes off of Quizlet or something like that. So doing some mini quizzes to help with your active recall, either content master. I mean, I have mini quizzes, but this is just supposed to help everybody. I'm not trying to sell anything right now. There's a pocket prep. Like, there's a lot of resources that have, questions. Bailey's still on here. Bailey knows all the questions. So, Bailey, are you here? I think she might have dipped because she doesn't need to take it to crush it. No, she's gone, that's fine. Alright, friends, so that's kinda what you're gonna do. You're gonna take that subject and then just make sure you do some active recall. So even if it's not a mini quiz, something that's gonna be, connecting all the topics that you did, because you're not gonna see a question in isolation on the exam, you're gonna see a bunch of stuff showing up all together. So that's the big thing that I want you guys to do is take something like that. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna switch to the next subject. Let's just say it's neuro, so maybe I have 2 hours here, 2 hours here. Say on this exam day, I was resting on Mondays, 'cause let's say I have a day of the week that's, like, too much. So I always have one day where I just take off, where I don't do anything. It's good. Let's just say it's Monday because let's say that was my long day in clinic. I'll go and do clinic stuff. I'm not gonna think about, like, exam studying. I'm gonna say that Monday will be my rest day for the foreseeable future, and so we'll just do that. So with that being said, again, another thing I wanted to talk about is this is gonna be a 12-week study plan. So this is a 12-week study plan just for the record. If you're doing it, in 8 weeks, you might need to condense this part here. If you're taking 16 weeks, you can spread it out a little bit farther. I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So put your test day at the end, of something. So let's say one of these days when you do your 12 and it's like the 13th week is your exam. Let's just say it's this day. Let's say it's the PEAT is on a Sunday. Actually, will your school have an exam on Sunday? I don't rude. Let's just are they doing on Saturday either? I feel like that's rude too. We'll just say it's on a Tuesday. The actual I feel like a Monday is rude too, but whatever. We'll just say it's whatever day it is, just put it in there. So that's gonna be when your PEAT is. Again, I would suggest getting started for your PEAT earlier rather than later, especially since you're probably gonna be in clinical, so start looking at way ahead of time. So looking at this, you'll have some rest days. Let's say that we're gonna start neuro. Well, we start neuro over here. Let's say I have 2 to, like, 3 hours on, like, a Sunday to study because I have more space available. But, like, the rest of the time, we only have, like, 1 hour, so 1 hour well, this day is no hours. 1, 1, 1, 1. So we're gonna do neuro all week. We're gonna do neuro, so 2 to 3 on a Sunday because maybe we have more time. Really make sure you're able to leverage when you have more time. So let's just say neuro. And we get through about, 2-ish weeks of neuro. Maybe we need a little bit more. And then, big thing to understand is after we get through neuro, I'm just picking ones. Let's just say that you want to take another another exam. So again, you have 2 exams left. Which one should you take? I would say take the retired PEAT after you do the first one. So the first PEAT, you're gonna get your PEATs. You'll have it for 90 days. Let's say about halfway through your studying, you do another PEAT. Because really right now, you're just trying to get used to the information. And then let's say that this is mini quiz. Okay, for neuro. So you do some sort of active recall, so rest day. You can pick your rest day on a Saturday or something like that, but I'm just pretending this is a crazy day in the clinic and that you're working 40 hours of clinicals. Now, if you're like, where am I going to like study when I'm on my clinical? So most places have an hour lunch break. Spend the first part of your lunch break, so the first half hour being a real person and like eating your food or decompressing. Then the second half hour study in the clinic, and then you'll have to study like a half hour at home, or maybe you study another half hour. Like I don't know, you stay home and then you go to the gym and then come home and then you study, maybe your kids have to go to sleep, something like that. Really don't overwhelm yourself with PEAT studying. It should just be extra review. You're in the clinic, you're also getting hands-on experience. Just know that your clinical experience will not prepare you for the PEAT. The PEAT's just different. It's not wrong. Remember, these are just 2 forms of explaining information to you, so then you're able to answer it when it comes to patients. All right, friends. So let's just say you're doing some mini quiz or active recall. So I'll just pick mini quizzes, and then you have your rest, and then you're going to switch to cardio. Okay, so you have your days of cardio. So you do maybe you're able to start cardio on this day. You're able to start a little cardio palm after you do your active recall for at least an hour or so. Getting through your cardio through the whole week. 2 to 3 here. And I should be able to get through all that. Now, you're going to take your PEAT number 2. You're going to make sure you review that. Remember, review it for at least a couple days. So you're going to review. You're going to really start to notice where your differences were. Did you make sure to study every single question on your exam? Do you understand what's going on with your test? How the cadence of the questions work? A lot of this is going to be just becoming familiar and more comfortable with exams. Can you take more exams in this? Yes. Am I just scheduling out 2 for now? Yes. Just because I don't want to overwhelm you guys right now. You want to make sure you save exams for your actual testing. Okay. So you want to make sure you don't lose access to all of these. So that's something you can do. Let's say you took the second PEAT, or maybe it's score builders or therapy ed, anything. Just it doesn't matter. If you're able to get the PEATs, you can. I personally, if I have unlimited funds in the whole world, am I going to get the PEAT? I think it's the best thing for the exam. Then you're going to go into other systems. Okay. So you're just going to go through the other systems. Maybe one day you're going to study intake. Next day you're going to study like GI, and then like endo / metabolic. Maybe you're going to study, it's urinary, Obstetrics, like, pick the different subjects per day and just spread it out like that. So I forget all the ones, but you're gonna study about, I think about that much of time, you know, other systems for the day. I will study till about here, okay? And that's gonna be your other systems. Now, you have that done, and so let's say that you are going to, uh, then you're gonna go into non-systems, okay? Non-systems you can probably get done in about a week, okay? So let's say you get that done for non-systems. You know how much you're studying per day at this point. Again, this is like a rough outline. And then once you get to this, you're gonna take a break. You're gonna take a break. Like give yourself like time. Maybe you're gonna go do something exciting or do something crazy. Give yourself like a break. And if you have other days scheduled through here, I should have just picked random weekends to like be scheduled, but that's what all this extra space is. So all this extra space here is to give you time to push all of your study plan around so then you're able to, you know, give yourself extra leeway. So, like, for example, let's look up. So, let's say you're almost at the end of your month of studying. And so, let's say that you are away this weekend right here. So, this, whatever this weekend is, and you need to push everything over. Just push everything over. It's fine. Now you have enough space where we've given ourselves at least what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like about a whole week worth of wiggle room. So if you have, activities that are going on, you have time to schedule those. If you have, you know, adventures you're doing, places to be, weddings to go to. So like for example, let's actually put this in here. So let's make it seem like legit. So let's just pick a random weekend. So let's pick that weekend that I was showing you. So let's say this weekend, like you're away. Okay. So it's like, "Oh, no, my weekend is gone." Okay, so we're gonna say neuro, and let's say you're gone, okay? Gone these days, okay? You're out of town, and then you come back. Giving yourself that rest day might be a good idea, especially if you go back to your clinicals or something like that. Maybe this was, like, your sister's wedding, and so now you've taken some time off, you're good, but then that means you gotta go here and extend your neuro a little bit longer. So, I kind of just made a rough plan here. Let's just do 2 more days of neuro, up to 3. And then let's switch to CP. Okay. So now you switch to cardio palm, you're back in that. So that's how you guys can shift stuff around to make it work. Okay. So then you take your PEAT. Maybe then you still need to do like another day of cardio palm because it was in the way. Let's do that. And maybe you gotta get that cardio palm in there. So CP, maybe that's what's going on. So let's say that there's another weekend that you're not here. So hypothetically, let's just say it's this weekend. Maybe there's like adventures going on. You're going somewhere. So maybe you're able to study on a plane. So like you're on a plane somewhere, so you could study like OB or something like that. So you're on a plane and then you're out of town, fine, picking random days. So just showing you how you can do this. And then let's say you're gone, you're out of town, gone. Out of town, and then you come back. Maybe you wanna, get the rest of other systems done, other systems, and then you still wanna study the food, so there you go. You can leave that, and then, oh, look, we have to add it into the non-systems. So you got another week, boom, X. So let's say that you have, like, another week where, you're out of town, or you're not able to do stuff, or somebody's vacation. Like, I'm just showing you guys how you're able to shift this around. So, let's say this is other systems, and then you don't start non-systems until, like, this week, okay? Because then you're somewhere, you're doing something. So, let's just say you're busy, busy, busy. Then you come back, and then you wanna start non-systems. Well, boom, whoop-de-doo, friends. You got plenty of time to do that and review weak areas. So that's how you schedule in if you have something going on. Just move stuff around. Yeah, this whole video will be posted later on YouTube for sure. So that'll be basically what you do, and then, you take your P, you review a couple days, let's say the day before you rest. Don't study that day. relax, and your rest day can be any day. So that's pretty much how I would suggest studying for a PEAT, basically scheduling out when you go through all the systems, get through the systems, and if you're like, "But Bree, should I go back and study stuff?" Here's the thing, when you guys are doing the quizzes, so ooh, I forgot to throw in some other from other quizzes, cardiopulmonary quizzes. Let's throw some quizzes in. Let's study this here. Let's do some quizzes, and then let's do a quiz here. Non-systems you get through in about a week. So, yeah, throw in some active recall, some quizzes, get ready for it, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, that's how I would study for a PEAT. What do you guys think? Does that make sense? Let me see. Hey, friends. Watching this even though I already took the boards. Hold on, I'm going through all TikTok, gonna go through all the questions. Sorry. Sorry, friends. Alright, there's a question. My program are 2 peats and 3 weeks. Any last-minute review tips? Really just start identifying those weak areas and hitting those hard. Really understand, like, is it a certain part of your peat that's really making you struggle? Like, is it, um, gonna be, what's it called? Like the data collection, or is it a specific subject? Those sort of things. Darlene watching this even though I already took the board, LOL, we love that. Welcome to the party, friends. Anyways, that's how I would suggest doing it, guys. So, again, this whole replay will be available on YouTube. I just liked my own live, that was awkward. But let's look through all of the different things. I might be able to pull up, let me stop sharing my screen over here, and then I'm gonna go look on YouTube and stuff. Oh, wait, everything pops there. Studying for the PEAT is different than studying for the NPTE. Yes, absolutely. Studying for the NPTE is gonna be like balls to the wall kinda thing, like really making sure you got it down pat. Studying for the PEAT is just basically getting yourself more familiar with what is all the information I learned in school, because that was, like, a while ago, and I feel like when we learned, all the innovations, that was, like, so long ago. So it's basically a good solid refresher of everything, and then, starting to practice questions. So, another thing I would suggest is do, like, the PTA 365 question of the day, and then go find the rationale in the score builders book, so then you're able to, get set up with that and make sure it makes sense. Sort of identifying, like, what are some mistakes I'm starting to make when I do practice questions? Am I reading too fast? Am I missing a word? Am I answering the question too quickly? Am I talking myself out of the right answer? Am I changing my answer? Starting to notice those patterns with yourself, so then you don't end up, picking the wrong answer and losing points on your exam. Sorry, guys, this is a little janky and all over the place, but I was trying my best to get stuff done. We have okay, TikTok's all good. We have, uh, Instagram friends. Hi, Instagram friends. We're doing good. Let's check out Facebook. Make sure Facebook doesn't have any questions. Trying to make sure everything's good over there. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it. Not too crazy, not too wild. Just is what it is. So that's what I would say. Let's make sure that there's no questions. PTA board study group, no questions in there. Perfect. Let's make sure there's no questions on PTA elevation page. No questions. Perfect. Excellent, my friends. Perfect. Do I recommend any other study than PTA 365? I mean, I have my questions of the day as well on my Instagram. I really try to post those on the weekdays, for the most part. Content Master by Score Builders has that. Pocket Prep has it. I know, Typical PT does questions as well. Those are more geared towards PTs. Final Frontier has questions of the day, again, and so does Kyle Rice and the PT Hustle. Again, all those are more geared towards PTs. However, finding the rationale in the Score Builders book and seeing, like, what are some of the stuff that PTAs need to know, that's gonna be super helpful as well. Those are some, other apps. What's the Pocket Prep called now? Like medical. It's something like that. I forget the exact name. Oh, where's Bailey? She had, like, all of the different apps under the sun. But those are all gonna be good. Like, anything where you can get quizzing, even Quizlet is great. So That's how that will be. But, let's make sure nobody has it. How's my Instagram peeps? Instagram friends, how are you guys doing? I see why Casey does this. Where is Casey? Somebody send this to Casey. Dr. Coleman, we need to harass him. Yeah. Alright, friends. If anybody has any additional questions, just shoot me a message on Instagram. Hang out with us. We're friendly people, and that's about it. So, alright, friends, Imma wrap this up. Thank you all for coming. Sorry for my janky live stream at first, but I will cut this down and I will post this on YouTube. So you guys will be able to see this on YouTube. So, thank you all for coming. Appreciate all of you. Sorry for starting late. And I will see y'all soon. How often do I typically go live? I go live randomly. I usually don't schedule a live stream like this. This is the biggest live stream I've ever, like, done across, like, so many different platforms. Like, I had to buy software for this. But I'm thinking of doing these more often. I'm usually going live on Instagram. That's usually the big place, but seems like YouTube land likes me as well, so we will try to do that. For those of you who are taking the exam in July or later, if you go to ptaelevation.com/masterclass, we'll be hosting a free masterclass webinar on the 21st of this month. So 20 days from now. So we'll be having that on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on the 21st. So that will also be something to help people prepare for either the July exam or later. For those of you who are watching this who are taking it in, my video is being flagged for harassment. Love that. Anyways, okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up so I don't get banned from TikTok Live. Okay, bye, friends. I'll see y'all later. Thank you all for coming.